Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Little Soy Sauce. In today's video, I want to talk about Deku's 6 new quirks that he just obtained in My Hero Academia. Now, spoil again. Oh, I should have said spoiler at the beginning, but if you have not read the newest chapters in My Hero Academia, this is a spoiler warning for chapters 213 and on. I know chapter 214 already has come out, but this is for chapter 213 and on. If you have not read that far in the story, then click off this video now. I kind of already spoiled what happened, but yeah. So yeah, Deku obtained 6, or he hasn't obtained 6 new quirks yet. I don't know how Horikoshi's writing it, but Deku has unlocked the ability to unlock 6 new quirks. Now, I want to go over this because it seems like a lot of people are getting kind of frustrated a little bit, kind of upset that Deku unlocks 6 new quirks when he already has kind of a really OP ability. And, or not really OP ability, but he kind of already has a really good ability. And so just to add on 6 new quirks is kind of, I would say, overkill. But personally, for me, I kind of want to see how this goes. I don't, because a lot of people are judging it really quickly. I mean, it just got introduced. Now, I can understand if this got introduced, 100 chapters ago or something like that, and then we're up to this point now, and Deku's mastered all 6 quirks. Like, I would be like, okay, he's mastered all 6 quirks. What's the point of introducing it? You know what I mean? But I kind of want to see where this goes. I kind of want to let it play itself out. Because, so you have no idea what I'm talking about. If you have no idea what I'm talking about with the 6 new quirks, basically, Deku, during I guess the class battles, I guess that's what I'm going to call it. I don't know if that's what it is, but it's like a little training thing they're doing right now in the story where Class 1A and Class 1B are kind of fighting against each other. So Deku and he was, fighting. Then all of a sudden, he gets dragged into, I guess, he didn't get dragged into another world, but he's talking with, people, the past users of All For One. His quirk completely went out of control. Aizawa and Vlad King and all those guys were ready to step in and, like, stop the match because, like, he was, like, couldn't able to control his quirk. And so we find out that, yeah, Deku, apparently, the previous 8 users of All For One have been storing up power inside this quirk. And now, finally, with you, the 9th person, we're ready to unleash All For One in its fullest capability. So, yeah, what that's saying is that Deku's going to get 6 new quirks, along with the one that he has now. Hey guys, post-credit Little Soy Sauce here. I want to clarify something. In the video, I keep going back and forth between All For One and One For All. All For One is the villain, and One For All is the quirk. I mean the same thing. I think I even catch myself a few times, but even when I catch myself, I think I'm still mixing them up. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. Hopefully, it doesn't really ruin the video, but yeah, that's what I really mean. I'm sorry about that. Now, one of those being Black Whip. That's already been introduced, and in chapter 214, it was shown that he could use it at the end of the chapter. So yeah, I kind of want to see everyone's everyone's reaction to that. Like, what the hell? How did Deku get to another quirk? So yeah, the reason why a lot of people are mad about this is because it could lead to eventually Deku being completely broken and make him like a god in some sense. It depends on the quirks you give him, which is why I say don't judge it too quickly. Now, personally for me, I think it's fine for right now, especially now you're kind of giving him more incentive. And it's like, he's not even really fully mastered All For One yet, so giving him 6 new quirks also could, be more of a challenge. And it could really lead to him being broken. But again, it all depends on the powers that are given to him. So we know one of these 6 new powers. I don't know if they're including All For One itself, but I think, again, again, it just depends on the powers that he gets. So yeah, one of those being Black Whip. Now, what are the other five? That would be something fun. Um, Really, I have no idea. I think, you know, if you want to look at it, maybe one of those powers is kind of like what All Might had. Now, we know All Might had All for One again before. We know All Might isn't the super buff dude that we see in the beginning, and he shows everyone he's a scrawny dude. That's his real life form. I'm thinking it's gonna be stuff like that. It could potentially actually be some really like OP powers. Like maybe he can shoot like laser beams out of his hands, or maybe he can control time. I don't know. But I'm thinking if you want to keep it at a minimalistic thing, I think giving Deku the ability to, transform his body and, basically make his body so big that he can use All for One at 100% without hurting himself. I think that could be something because again, because we know All Might was the eighth user of All for One. One for All, my bad. All for One's the villain. Not One for All is the power. It's the quirk itself. Who knows? Maybe All Might tapped into that power a little bit. Maybe that's one of the powers that you can get. Maybe, he's like, maybe the same thing happened to All Might. And, maybe All Might was like, I don't need to use all these powers. But, maybe he tapped into some of them. And maybe one of those powers was able to, make his body super big and buff, so that way he could just kind of skip training his body and he can just kind of use All for One, One for All at its full capabilities, because it was stated that All Might was able to use it right away. So I don't know if he had the secret, he had that super buff quirk that made him really strong, and that All for One just kind of help boost that, or maybe that was like kind of like what's going on right now, where he could tap into some of that reserve power that One for All has, and he was just like, okay, I'm just gonna pull that out and use that mostly because maybe All Might, that's all he needed. So yeah, but Deku of course will have the ability to unlock all six powers, so we don't know what those are now. All the quirk phenomenon has been around for maybe about 100 years. So maybe about 3 generations, so to say. It's pretty fair, 3 generations. And I said 8 previous users before that, and then the 9th being Deku. Now, does that mean that Deku can't pass it down anymore, or because the guy, whoever the guy that was in the Vision, I guess, we don't know his name. The guy who had the bandana, I'm gonna call him the Vietnam vet guy. So the Vietnam veteran guy, again, we don't know like if that means like, oh, so the power's maxed out. But if Deku hands down the power, will it just stay at that constant power, or can he even like pass down the power anymore? Who knows? So I personally think that the idea of Deku having multiple quirks isn't necessarily a bad idea. It really just depends again on what quirks he's given. One of those being Black Whip. Now if we're going down that route where he's actually getting different quirks like, Black Whip, he's getting, like a lot, like the laser beam shooting out of his hands kind of deal, then I could see where that's going to be OP. But if you're going to give him stuff like, if you give him like the idea where All Might can transform his body, make it super buff and big so he can use All for One, One for All, I keep messing up their names. So yeah, One for All, that's the quirk. He can able to use that at its full potential, and then maybe give him, the idea kind of like that one girl during the provisional license exam, where they trapped Momo, Asui, Shoji, and Jiro, and then it was that girl in the white where she had like the high IQ. You do something like that, maybe kind of, not really give Deku like different powers, but maybe able to like strengthen other areas, so that way he can be a better, well-rounded superhero, or hero. Then I could definitely see where that is. So yeah, but that's just my quick thoughts on it. Again, we won't really know until later on the story. Maybe, again, All Might explain it to him a little bit better. Maybe we'll find another, because you have to imagine, only 100 years. I mean, there could potentially still be someone alive who had the All for One quirk, One for All. Sorry, God, I keep singing them up. The One for All quirk before, before All Might and Deku, who could still be alive today, who could better explain that power to him because they probably have been around with it longer. Maybe one of them. So I'm guessing the Vietnam vet guy, one of his quirks was the Black Whip, and of course, One for All strengthened that quirk. So maybe there's someone who understands the quirk a little bit better. If All Might can't explain it, then I know there's probably someone out there who can explain it and can probably go better into detail on these quirks that they had. So who knows? And again, we don't know the ramifications of All for One. So that means if Deku had a quirk, for example, if he had some random quirk, I'm trying to think of one. Maybe he can control the liquids in your body, kind of like how in One Piece, Fishman Karate, they're able to use the water in your body against you, when doing the punches. So maybe if Deku had a quirk like that, that's just a random quirk I thought of. If he had something like that, for example, if he passes down All for One, does that quirk get taken away from him, or does the essence of All for One just get taken out? Because we don't know. We don't know if these quirks were a part of them, and then they got All for One, but then maybe that would, because that would be kind of a like a weakness to it, a kind of a ramification for it. Yeah, you get this really insane power boost, but once you pass it down, you start to lose your quirk. So that would be kind of like what All Might did, but again, because it's been proven that like for Miro, for example, if he had All for One, he would be able to boost his quirk to a crazy level. And he was actually supposed to be given the All for One before Deku, but of course All Might ran into Deku and was like, you know what, you're worthy of my power. But if he didn't run into Deku, he would have given it to Miro. So who knows, maybe Miro would have, lost his quirk as well. Maybe that's like an effect of the quirk. It's like, hey, you get this crazy power boost, but if when you pass it down, you start to not only lose all the One for All quirk, but you start to lose your quirk as well. But not like right away, because All Might, he lost One for All, but he was still able to use it afterwards, but not for that long. He had, because he fought the Nomus, and he was still a hero, and then of course he fully lost the ability to use the quirk after his fight with All for One. So again, we don't really know necessarily about all that. Once again, this was just recently introduced, so yeah, we still got a lot of explaining to go, and my hero still has a long way to go. So I'm pretty sure we'll find out more information about this. But but for right now, that's all I want to talk about. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys so much for watching.